I could go to jail for doing this, man. This is the easiest video topic under the sun by far. Today we're going over something that we actually did talk about a few years ago, back when the decision was made, but it's a conversation that I feel has sort of resurfaced a lot over the past few months, and it kind of exploded in a way with yesterday's Montreal versus Philadelphia Flyers game. Now, this isn't necessarily a post-game review of that game, nor is it really some deep, intricate analysis of everything that went on. Instead, I wanted to focus on a specific moment in time in the 2019 NHL Draft that kind of culminates with what happened in yesterday's Canadiens and Flyers matchup. Now, if you weren't paying attention to the NHL schedule yesterday, we saw ourselves a shootout between the two teams. The Canadiens ended up winning 5-4. The ultimate shootout deciding goal was Nick Suzuki, and I mean, look, Suzuki stepping up big in the way that he has. He's the captain. He does these things. He is a very good hockey player. But even though the Canadiens won this game 5-4, it wasn't really a guaranteed Canadiens victory in the slightest up until the final seconds of the third period. This is because, with a minute left, a few minutes left actually, the Habs, down by 1, 4-3, pull the goalie and they go on a 6-on-5 massacre. Okay, maybe not massacre, but they tried to do a massacre. The Habs had the puck in the Flyer zone and they were cycling it around and getting shots off. There were shot blocks. The Flyers, John Tortorella, he loves his shot blockers. And that is exactly what the Flyers were doing in this final few minutes of the game. All the shots blocked, all the rebounds collected by Montreal, all of the dump-out attempts by the Flyers were being held at the point by Matheson. You had Air Jordans going out there, guys jumping up, grabbing the puck out of midair, and settling it down. But ultimately, what you also saw in this final sequence was multiple one-time and pretty much Ovechkin spot opportunities for one Cole Caufield. He had like 3 shots in the final 20 seconds of the game because Monahan, Suzuki, all these guys, they just kept on feeding Caufield over and over again. And ultimately, it's Nick Suzuki who, after Cole Caufield takes one more shot on the OV spot and it goes wide, collects the puck on the half boards, and he just sends it across right to Caufield one more time. Caufield gets the one-time across, and he buries it in the bottom left-hand corner of the net, tying things up, making it 4-4 with 1.3 seconds to go in regulation. The Bell Center went crazy. And that was Cole Caufield's second goal of the game. And with this goal being put into the record books, you had a lot of Canadiens fans going out there on social media saying things like, hey, thank you so much, Philadelphia, not only for letting Cole Caufield score a goal against you, but for giving Montreal the chance to draft Caufield in the first place. Now, what are we talking about here? We're talking about the 2019 NHL Draft. Because when it comes to the Philadelphia Flyers and their opportunities, who they actually were able to take, not only did the Philadelphia Flyers pass up the opportunity to draft Mr. Cole Caufield himself, but they did it twice. This is because the Flyers initially had the 11th overall pick in the draft, but instead of taking Cole Caufield, which they had the option to do, they traded down with the Arizona Coyotes because the Coyotes wanted to trade up and get Victor Soderstrom. Now, that is exactly what happened. The Flyers, okay, I guess you could say they passed up on drafting Caufield, but they pretty much got themselves the next few picks down, so it's kind of okay, right? The Flyers went from 11th overall to 14th overall, the Arizona Coyotes got their guy, and the Flyers got some assets on top of that too. However, the next pick was Philadelphia at 14, and this is where things get nutty. We already talked about this in the What Happened video, talking about this player and the expectations for him, but in a Philadelphia bar somewhere in Pennsylvania, when the Flyers went up to the draft stage, you had the Flyers fans in the bar clapping their hands and chanting, Cole, Cole, Cole. They all wanted Caufield. And so, when the Flyers announced that they're taking from the US NTDP, The fans started to cheer, and then they selected Cam York instead. Now, in the What Happened video we made about York, we talked about how the guy is in the AHL, how he didn't really showcase himself all too well in the preseason, and that's why he's in Lehigh Valley. Now, he's playing well there. He's on pace for 50 points in 72 games played, which is not bad at all for a defenseman in the AHL. But at the same time, when you acknowledge that York went one spot before Cole Caufield, who, in this season's worth of play, has 11 goals, 8 assists for 19 points in 18 games played, it's really easy to see that, at least in the short term, yeah, the Flyers might have made the wrong choice. And it comes back to bite them a few years down the line, because you have yourselves this game right here where Mr. Cole Caufield himself gets the double goal and the game-tying goal with 1.3 to go. He's on pace for 50 goals. And I feel like if Caufield does get 50, it wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world, because we kind of know how good he is and how well he's developed his goal-scoring prowess over the years. It's been a very good and stable development path for this guy. It's just, he's only 5'7", which is why he slipped down the rankings and the draft board so much, to the point that I was like, yeah, no, whatever team takes Caufield after, like, 4th or 5th overall, you're getting a steal. And Montreal took him at 15th because, hey, they already have Gallagher, they have Byram, they have all these other small guys, and they're not afraid to draft small, so Cole Caufield is right up their alley. Besides, you take a look at 5'7" guys in the past who have scored a boatload of points for them, and, I mean, there's a pretty good list of guys in that mold. I guess Henri Richard is the guy that comes to my mind right away. You can talk to him in the comments who comes to yours. But I did want to go over this entire conversation because after Cole Caufield scored the game-tying goal, I saw on Habs Twitter so many people tweeting out, Cam York, oh Cam York, it's Cam York, man. Thank you so much, Cam York. And I feel like that's really cold. Canadiens fans are getting kind of ruthless here, just rubbing it into the Flyers fans' faces that, hey, you had the chance to draft this guy, you passed up on him twice. Once to move down, and another because you wanted Cam York instead. Now, nothing against Cam York. I talked about him in the What Happened video. I still do think that he's got a very good skill set and ceiling that will help him into the long-term future. And if he becomes a let's just say a number one pairing defenseman that gets upwards of 40 to 50 points in a season, I would not be surprised. But Cole Caufield is a guy who, if he gets 50 goals every season, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens either. So there definitely is a diversification of talent, I feel, that varies so heavily from both of these prospects that it's kind of funny taking a look at it now that Caufield went 15th overall in the first place. Heck, I wanted Caufield at 10 for my Vancouver Canucks. When they selected Podkolzin, you could see in the video reaction, I was kind of dumbfounded there that he was the guy that they ended up taking, but at the end of the day, I was like, okay, there's potential with Podkolzin as well. But either way, talk to the comments your thoughts about yesterday's Montreal versus Philadelphia Flyers shootout win. Nick Suzuki is the guy that gets it done. Jake Allen stands on his head. Cole Caufield unfortunately does not score in the shootout, nor does Owen Tippett, who also had 2 goals in the game. By the way, that guy appears to be getting on a heater, especially with the injury to Travis Konechny, so good on him for getting things on straight. But either way, talk to the comments on your thoughts about the Flyers and the Canadiens, Caufield and Cam York. What were your thoughts on the decision to draft York back at the draft? What are your thoughts today? How much have those thoughts changed? And do you think that this was all too expected? Because honestly, if I'm going off of my brain in 2019, I feel like this outcome of Caufield being so good to the point that just 3 years down the line, we're already saying, yeah, he probably should have gone a lot higher. This is not a surprise to me, but I want you to tell me in the comments your opinions as well. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.